carried stockmen. They carried soldiers. They carried legends from Beersheba to the mountains of the high country. The thunder herd still rides. Storm-filled skies and snow gums bow in winter light. 1,000 shadows cross the dawn, their wild hearts burning through the night. Their blood remembers campfire smoke, long dusty trails and stockmen's hands. The freedom of a younger world still running through this ancient land. Listen. The mountains know their language. Listen. The valleys speak their names. They are the thunder rolling beneath the southern sky. From Beersheba's fields of glory to the mountains standing high, no chains can hold them, no walls can tame them. The spirit of the light horse rides, they are the thunder herd, and the mountains know their names. Across the burning Sinai sands, they carry fate in steady hands. Through dust and fire they thundered on toward Beersheba's fateful dawn. Horse and rider forged as one, a rolling wave against the guns. The desert shook beneath their stride as Australia rose in pride. They are the thunder herd, rolling beneath the southern sky. From Beersheba's fields of glory to the mountains standing high, no chains can hold them, no walls can tame them. The spirit of the light horse ride, they are the thunder herd, and the mountains know their name. And standing on the highest ridges, when the world below is gone to sleep, the ancient stallions face the darkness, guarding secrets they still keep. They remember every stockman, every drover, every mountain horseman, every charge, every rider who never came home, every horse who carried him there. Ride on. Ride on. Ride on. They are the thunder, the heartbeat of the southern land. The wild soul of Australia. The wild soul of Australia. The oath that time has never bent. When lightning crowns the mountain peaks and storm clouds gather dark and wide, the spirits of the old light horse still ride beside their stride. No king commands them, no empire owns them, for freedom runs within their blood, as surely as rivers shape the land. They are the thunder herd, and they still ride, and they still ride. From Beersheba to the high country, the thunder herd still rides.
And a very good morning. It's a magnificent morning here on the Gold Coast. One day rainy, next day rainy or cloudy, but it's a lovely part of the world, by the way. I've seen some magnificent parts of Australia just recently, and it does make you appreciate what a great country we are. Before we get into our show, Instant Polls is our official sponsor. If you want to increase your bottom line, boost your communication with your frontline staff and gather valuable data from your most important resource, that's your employees, then don't forget to visit Instantpolls.online to learn more. Now, today's poll on the Country Telegraph is to what extent are government grants to private media outlets being used to ensure they report only the government's narrative. That's to what extent are government grants to private media outlets being used to ensure that they report only the government narrative. So we've seen released close to $70 million to a bunch of media outlets, both mainstream and also independent media, which means it's no longer independent. Now just use the QR code on our screen to vote, point the phone and off you go. Each vote is secure and anonymous and verified by 2FA. Now you have 24 hours to vote before the result is broadcast on the Country Telegraph after 8 a.m. tomorrow. The link will be published on our Facebook page after 6. Now share the link and ask your family and friends to participate, which is just such a great thing. This is the Country Telegraph. And that's what we have to do. We have to save the brumbies. It's atrocious. These are magnificent animals, and we have to do our very, very best. Otherwise, what chance are we as a nation? You just should not let that thing happen. I was looking on Facebook, off your Facebook the other day, and someone was criticising a particular rally. Said, bunch of cookers, nutters. And I thought, how sad that they would think that a group of people trying to save the lives of these beautiful, beautiful beings are regarded as being crazy or cookers, as they would say. Very sad, isn't it? Anyway, we'll plough through that, hopefully, and we can maybe we can make a difference, which I hope so. I sincerely hope so. Charlotte Faulkner is founder and chair of the Friends of the Dartmore Hill Pony and chair of Dartmore Hill Pony Association. Charlotte has for more than 10 years spearheaded a campaign to give the traditional hill ponies of Dartmoor the recognition they deserve for their importance to the grazing management of the moor and their wonderful qualities as riding pets, and they look absolutely magnificent. Very cheeky, I would imagine, so that they obtained fair prices at the annual pony sales. She established the Dartmoor Hill Pony Association and the Friends of the Dartmoor Hill Pony from her Dartmoor farm base. She and her ponies are well known at Devon County Show. I think Katie Hopkins lives in that area. And each year she also organises the fundraising 50-mile Dartmoor Challenge. First of all, Charlotte, thank you for joining us.
Oh, my pleasure. It's lovely to speak to you.
Yeah, I know. We tried the other day, and the schmozzle that was happening because of the provider, it was terrible. I gave up. We all gave up after about 30 minutes. We ran out of 27 pieces. So I'm just quite interested in the Dartmoor Hill Ponies because there was talk about, and it was ramping up too, that they were going to just get rid of them. And they've been there for such a long time. They are part of the environment. What do you think?
It was basically down to the fact that
Sorry, we just lost you there.
whoa, it's going off key again.
Yeah. No, we're actually fine this end.
Well, it's basically because are you okay there?
Yes, no, we
got us?
we have your picture, but your sound is dropping.
Okay.
We'll take 3. No,
I can't believe it.
I know it's actually a bit of a shock. I mean, look, what we do, just don't go away. We'll just go into a quick commercial of some sort as I bring something up here. And here's one here. I'll just put that on here. Just give us a sec. We'll try and fix it up. This is the Country Telegraph.
I could stand here and talk for literally hours about what we're up against here and the inappropriate selection of the site that surrounds us. It's taking out of a 360-degree rural view that we currently have, that we came here for the peace, the quiet, the serenity, so that we could have our own little farming venture here. We've invested a lot of time and money in it and our lives for years and years now. And these properties that surround us, they want to take 278 degrees of that 360-degree view and turn it into industrial wasteland, black solar panels and noisy battery energy storage systems. So you'd be taking away our finances, you'd take our lifestyle, you'd take away from our stock, the noise from construction, the noise from an eventual industrial wasteland would be completely destroyed in every way, shape and form.
I didn't choose this life. I was born to live it. So was Dad, Pa, his dad, and his dad before that.
Come on, ladies.
You're supposed to be slowing down, you know.
It's payback for all the free labour you got out of me as a kid.
Ah,
I learned from watching my mum and dad and how they work together. So does my sister Sally.
Any trains? I don't. Feet up.
I'll always remember these days. It's the happiest days of my life. Together as a family.
Oh, you're so lucky. I love you.
really?
Yeah.
Is that about right, is it?
I don't know how you're going to deal with all this.
Deal with what?
$6 million debt?
Most farmers are in this amount of debt. As farmers, we gamble with the weather every day, and it's a risk we take. You have no idea what I'm going through.
Maybe you should talk to someone.
Oh my God, no, I'm fine.
No, you're not, Alison.
You and your dad's coward.
Play a game of footy, all right?
Where's heaven?
What?
Where's heaven?
The sky, I think.
Can we go there?
Yeah, I'm actually wondering where heaven is, because at the moment we're in hell with technical difficulties. We're just trying. I can't believe it. Anyway, what we're going to do is just Charlotte's going to. Actually, we'll just try something here. Charlotte, I think you probably need to reboot your computer. That's what the problem is. But we'll just try something. Charlotte, don't you disappear. We'll see if this works. That's SOS for Charlotte. Do you hear me?
Okay. I can hear you perfectly tonight. Yeah.
And you know what? We can hear you. What the hell happened?
I don't know, but we're just going to keep our fingers crossed for this
We
bit.
are. I mean, it's incredible. It's anyway. Maybe for all my sins, if it was for all my sins of the past, I would have been struck down with a bolt of lightning. You
Well,
were
I'm
saying tell us about because I was talking about the intention of eliminating the Dartmore Hill Ponies, and I think you were pointing out something.
I was going to point out that, it's I've been doing this for 26 years, actually trying to ensure their future. And its consequences, actions that people don't realise that they do, like this quango called Natural England, who helps us on Dartmore with the grazing. They suggested something which actually the end result was going to mean that people wouldn't be able to keep their ponies. So that was the thing. But what I really wanted to say this evening was, throughout this, there's been people from Australia who've come over and seen me. There's a wonderful lady called Jill Pickering, who I really need to thank, because she taught me so much with her battle trying to support the Brumbies through the Australian Brumby Alliance. She was an extraordinary and has been beside me, and she's always contacted me, and she, I think, was the president or is the president, and what she puts forward in hope and the way she has acted has been amazing. And then I was at a conference and I met a chap called Dave Berman, who was also an ecologist who's fighting for the Brumbies in your country, and he taught me about changing the rhetoric. And I don't think any of these things would have happened because the rhetoric has got to change on equines. They are valuable now to us creating habitats and the biodiversity that our world wants. And we're going forward looking at climate change and all those things. I'm sure that these ponies and horses, the equines, have a role to play. And I think we've got to stop behaving so badly. Yeah.
I agree with the. I don't know whether it's this is just thinking about it. I don't know whether it's enormous ignorance or apathy, enormous approach to these animals. Oh, who cares? Don't think about it much. In fact, we showed pictures. We were telling people about what was happening. And because I won't show the pictures, I don't think there's any need to do that. But we're explaining, and they would say, I don't want to know about it. And it's like, why wouldn't you want to know about it? The horse, I mean, when we are talking about the horse, they're a highly evolved and involved with the human species. They're part of our history. And then they keep going back, though, don't they, or in this country, and I noticed some were mentioning in the UK, it's not good for the environment. They are the environment. They are part of it. They've have managed the environment.
And that has been proved massively. I mean, really, we have gathered so much evidence now to support the fact that they are valuable to the biodiversity. They really have a role to play, especially going forward with climate change and things, apart from their historical value. And none of us would be here if we hadn't got these ponies and horses that have carried us and ploughed our fields and done all those things. I just cannot believe the value of a life is so little to people. And that's one of the things I want to say with our campaign. When I realised what was going to happen, we knew we had 6 months to change it around, and we had to get hold of our Secretary of State and make them hear us. And 220,000 signatures was a lot of people, but it took knocking on everyone's doors and a huge effort from a massive number of people to just wake everyone up to recognise that there was a real problem and they had to do something about it. Or they would not have the butterflies. If you don't have the ponies here, you won't have the butterflies because they won't have the right habitat to live. And I think the same thing happens in Australia. You know, they're creating habitats for wonderful flora and fauna. And we need them.
Yeah, I've just because in Australia they go on. I mean, it's led by the Invasive Species Council, which is basically a lobbyist group. In fact, the wife of the CEO works for the Environment Minister, and you don't need to say any more than that. Except what they do is an abomination, and it shows you that this country is in a very bad place. In the UK, I think it's called Natural England, isn't it? And they're very much like the Invasive Species Council. And I refer to them as bridge gluers, because that's what they used to. In past lives, they most likely laid on the road, glued themselves to stop the morning traffic because the earth was going to choke or something like that. So but the scary thing is, Charlotte, they're all connected to the United Nations, and they have an agenda that 2030 things will be dramatically different than they are now. Is it just a matter of educating the good folk, say of the UK or the good folk of Australia, or do we need to, or is that not possible to educate them, and do we need to then have a much stronger campaign to enunciate the importance of the horse, and secondly, the importance of showing respect for life?
I think it's about showing respect for life and recognising that nature is far bigger than any of us. And we think Natural England is a quango. Really, it's not answerable to anyone, but it is the one that has been put forward, which tells us how many animals we're allowed to graze. We have to negotiate with them for how many animals we're allowed to turn out on our commons, and they have a different agenda to farmers. I think is probably how it works. They say we're going to all work together, but it doesn't work like that, because if you don't do what they need you to do, then you don't get your payments or whatever, which help you and actually be able to carry on doing what you're doing, trying to look after the ecology. So it's a very difficult one. But I would like the next generation to be proud of what we've done. I don't think Australians are going to be very proud when they're sitting in their armchair in their dotage and they say, well, we did nothing about this. In the same way, I can be very proud of the people who surround me currently, who have fought so hard to ensure we didn't have a bloodbath. So I think the message has got to be got out there, and I think you have fantastic people. I think you have the Australian Brumby Alliance, a fantastic group of people, and they need supporting wholeheartedly. And I think people have got to look at themselves and say, we've got to do something about this, because otherwise, when they look back at the history book and they say, yeah, Grandma, were the horses out there, were they called Brumbies? Oh yeah, we let them shoot them all. I don't think that's very cool, is it?
It's terrible. I mean, but I was shocked with the Dartmoor Hill Pony, because it's been there for, and correct me if I'm wrong, for thousands of years.
Thousands of years. We've just found a bone on the edge of Dartmoor, which is 12,500 years old. Give or take 60 years, they tell me.
Oh, wow.
And it was a silver stallion, apparently. So there you go.
Wow.
And, these sort of things are also exciting for us as a positive. But I think we've got to learn to tell our story better and make a good story should have a good ending. And that's what this is all about. And I think that's something that I was taught by the people who have been fighting your corner. I mean, Jill Pickering is an amazing woman, and she was so supportive to me. So you have some incredible people in your country doing an amazing job as well. I just hope they can get there. I don't know quite how.
Here, yeah, it was we had an act that was passed, I think, 2018, that was to protect the Brumbies, keep them at a
Yeah.
reasonable, and I'll go to this point in a second, a reasonable number. 2023, I think it was removed under the Labor Party, and then the lobbyists got in, the bridge gluers got in, and the corporates got in, because there's a lot of money to be made from saving the planet. If you
Yeah.
sort of get my drift. So what happened was that you know, to keep the numbers at a particular level, they shoot them. And I mean, here's the thing: I think to kill a horse, highly intelligent, and part of our history, whether it's UK or New Zealand, US or Australia, to do that to a horse and to terrorise that horse before death, and then to let the horse just lie there at times and wait to be eaten by the other animals, or just to die a slow and painful death. I'm sorry, I can't come to grips with that. It's not how a human should act. How do we, I mean, so we have then government under the Labor government here. They're doing all they can. They have said via the ISC that there will be no more horses in these parks ever again if they have their way. And they're looking at to obliterate them. And now, in your country, you have the Labor Party, and I'm not going to be politically biased in any direction, because I think you got problems from Reform to the Labor Party, so I don't think you're sitting pretty at any stage. However, is there a particular slant from the ideology of Labor Party or Labor voters, in the fact that they must save the planet at all cost, and all cost means just obliterating our past?
I think that in our country, it's a case of the fact that it's cross-party. So I had cross-party MPs from all the different parties, and all the different party leaders came in to support me to make this have a change. It was an extraordinary. I couldn't quite believe it. They all jumped on the bandwagon really to say, yeah, we're going to save the Dartmoor ponies. And we're saying, yeah, okay. That's fantastic, but you've got to make sure it happens. And then we had a real battle to get the wording right to make those things happen. Because there is another group of people who are the wilding lobby, as we call them in this country, who want, I don't know quite what they want really, but they don't like farmers, and they don't like anyone that's going to grow something or look after something. They want it all to just be left abandoned. And we've been farming Dartmoor for 4,000 years. It's quite a long time so it's a managed landscape. And to get that across, I think, is really important. And I think you've got to somehow, people have got to start to understand that your landscape is managed as well now. And it's a different landscape to the one that they're looking. I don't know how far back they want to go really with their idea of what they want to create. Or is it farming without horses and they just want to make money from just having cattle? Is it grass?
I don't know. I mean, it's really interesting, isn't it? But there is an attack on horses around the world, and is it? Do they think that they're killing the planet? Stomping on everything, and does it represent our past, which they're trying to rewrite? I don't know. I mean, but they are under attack. I mean, even in WA, in Western Australia here, a guy has a whole bunch of donkeys. Now, donkeys are highly intelligent too. He's turned the land around by sensible grazing and management of the land with the donkeys. The land has turned around from being a desert to not an oasis, but getting close to it. And he has this lease on this property, and it was cleared by to have these donkeys there was part of the deal. They've changed their mind, down the track, and they said all the donkeys in August are going to be shot because we decide that we don't like them there. They're an invasive species. So I don't know what we are. Would you agree with me that we have the people that were told to sit in the corner for being stupid are now running the country and these organisations?
I don't know enough about it, but I think that they probably got. I think that people are just, they get the wrong end of the stick and they get the wrong message and they can't seem to change their rhetoric. And somehow we've got to work out a way to make them understand what they're suggesting. I think we're probably the most invasive species of the whole lot, to be perfectly honest, if we behave in that very unrealistic way. It's like they're treating us as if they're in some sort of computer game, and one day they're going to wake up and they can go and have the breakfast cereal. They don't really. I mean, the people who are pulling the trigger on these guns, how do they feel? I mean, who are these people who could do this thing? I find it really difficult to understand how somebody could want to do that.
But people, I mean, we used to be TNT radio, and we had 140 million, at least in the last 12 months, and then we were scuttlebutt. We had, things happen. But we had a guy that worked for us, a South African guy, a very unpleasant person, and he would go on these hunts to go shooting, animals in South Africa. Thought it was magnificent that he would kill them. I don't understand why you would want to kill an animal. I mean, truly, I don't understand, because do they have such low respect? Maybe. Do they have such high respect of themselves? Most likely. But I don't understand how you can do it. In the Kosciuszko National Park, a guy came across 4 shooters, obviously working for the New South Wales or the National Parks and Wildlife Services, and they were camouflaged. They had .308 rifles with which he described as a silencer on each one of those rifles. When in my lifetime, which I'm still alive, and yours and others, a silencer is a highly illegal part of a weapon. I mean, weapons are bad enough, but when you have a silencer, it's is it to sneak up on the animal? But it's like saying, well, I had an atom bomb, I decided to kill them all, but you can't have atom bombs. Oh, well, it worked. Same thing with this thing. You're going to kill a lot of animals or people. They shouldn't be allowed. So I don't know where we're going. I think I think we've really gone around in the spin cycle of a washing machine, and it's getting faster.
Well, then we've got to turn it off, haven't we? We've got to work out a way to make people understand that they need to respect what we have. And once it's gone, you can't get it back. That's the really important thing. I mean, the way that these animals have learned to live as out in the wild, they know where the water is. They know which plants to eat when they're not feeling great. Even the angle of their hooves is so that they don't need to have somebody go and trim their feet. The whole thing is sort of magical, really, and it's got to be looked at more carefully. I think. I just think there's a crossed wire, and we're not. The engagement isn't right between everyone, and we just got to somehow recognise that there is more to this world that we understand less than we know. It's a really difficult thing, and and everyone is welcome to what they feel is important to them, but not at the cost of our environment. Our environment, it really is the most important thing, because that is what we're really the only thing we're going to hand on to the next generation, people living in our land, because that's all we have. You can have money in the bank, but actually there's more of that. You can get more of that, but you can't get your environment back once it's gone.
But at the same time, we have to also understand that we're living in this time, 2026, and there's no way we're going to go back to 1726 or the age of the dinosaurs. It's just not going to happen. So what we have to do is manage what we have. But it doesn't mean killing everything because a particular group has decided that those particular species are not worth caring for, and they need to be put down. And they use terms such as feral, pest, all sorts of terrible things. And then they surround that with other word speak, and you actually have a magnificent propaganda or information operation happening. And it's how they move ahead. But I think our biggest problem is getting through to between the left and right ear of the general populace, getting through to them and getting them on side to say, we are not going to We are not going to stand for this anymore. We're humans, and this is inhumane in what we're doing.
I think that's absolutely right. I think the only way you're going to solve it is if you can actually get the populace to rise up and say this is not going to happen. And I think that's what happened here, is that they realized they had a real problem, because our next move, if they hadn't capitulated and let us have what we needed for Dartmoor, we were going to Downing Street. I'd booked us to go in to Downing Street on the 2nd of September and deliver a petition. And I was we were talking about taking the ponies across London Bridge. You know, we had all sorts of plans. We were going to cause a bit of havoc along the way. And I think that as a small country, we were getting quite motivated there was a lot of people going to come with us, and it was going to be very, very embarrassing for the government. And yet a lot of our local MPs who were Labour were supporting us. So that was quite interesting, really. So they really wanted it to happen. And that's why it went down to the line of the end of our parliament, that they got it through on the last day before we'd have a change of Secretary of State. And although we have now invited the new Secretary of State to come down and visit us, because we're still not entirely sure we've got the safety that we require. We're cautiously confident that they are going to do the right thing, and that Natural England aren't going to just throw it all out now. It's under slightly different power. So, you know, you can never really relax. But I do think as far as the Brumbies go, I think somehow, and I know that Jill, and I'm quite sure Colleen Christensen is working so hard to get everyone to recognise what they have, because it's going to be gone, and they will sit there and say, oh, I wish we'd done something about that. And they could do. They've got to change the government. They've got to say, well, we're not voting for you if you carry on supporting this or whatever.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Good on that. What are they going to be good on? I mean, what can you trust them with if you can't trust that? Your environment. Shit.
I think the bridge gluers are running amok at the moment, and I won't say what I was going to say, but because I'll probably get in trouble for it by everybody, including the wife and my producer. But because I do that at times. Sometimes it's easier to be forgiven than to get permission. Can I just ask you? We've been showing a picture how the Dartmoor Hill Ponies are safe, and there's two ponies. One's the lighter colour one. Do you know those ponies by any chance? Because I have to say that lighter colour one, it looks like the naughtiest boy in the classroom.
A naughty pony. Yeah, I think he's probably leaving a little message inside Downing Street on the quart, actually, and that's what they're laughing about. I have to say, when I put together that graphic, I was giggling to myself. They're saying, have you managed it yet? Have you left them a message?
It is so
and it won't be a shovel to clear it up.
Yeah, no, it is so funny. I'm sure they could leave a message for Downing Street, but all you need is a shovel and a brush. But anyway, look, it's I'm very, very happy. I am, because we took an interest in this. Both Jen and myself and my wife, we have zero tolerance to cruelty to animals, and the oppressive regime of those wanting to change the planet for the good of the planet, but it's not really the good of the planet, it's the good of their back pockets and their bank accounts and their wacko ideology. And so we thought, no, we're not going to stand for this. We're going to do what we can, because I think, and a horse has got so much attachment, it's like a dog with humans and cats. They've got so much attachment to humanity. But it's really interesting that a lot of those still treat the dog, the cat, the horse with such low regard and are very cruel. So it just makes me wonder at times, where we are at the moment. Are we in a good place or a bad place, or are we going down the chute pretty quickly? I don't know, but it's sometimes
there's a lot of good people out there. You have to remember that,
and I think we have to.
Those ones are the ones we need. We need to wake them up and tell them, "Come on, guys, get on it and do something about it."
I think so. I do think so. But I'm very happy at the moment, and we would like to keep this going. We have some ideas with yourself and Ashley Avis and a few others. We want to do something that's a little more global, because I think we need to draw the attention, have an information base, but do it like a normal TV would do it. And if we can do something to help the four-legged creatures around the world, then I think we're doing something pretty good. Charlotte, if somebody wants to find out more about your organisation, how do they do that?
Probably if they want to go on our websites, which if they put in Dartmoor Hill Pony, Friends of the Dartmoor Hill Pony, it will come up with the website and they can learn and see what we're doing. That's probably the best place to start. It's called Wild to Wonderful, but if they go put in Friends of the Dartmoor Hill Pony, it will come up with our website.
Absolutely.
And then they can join us, or they can go on a Facebook page, which is Dartmoor Warriors, which is the one where people are interested in how we're trying to keep everything going. So there's, if you just put Dartmoor Hill Ponies on Facebook or into the browser, then you'll find out more.
Yeah, you will go to heaven. Unfortunately, I'm a bit older than you, so I'll get to the other side before you. So you can't do me any good. Normally, I ask someone if they're a really good person, if they could put in a good word for me. When I go to the other side, but you're way too young for that. So I'll be there before you. I'll be the one saying, "Can you piggyback me up to the next level, please?"
We'll get a horse. We use a horse.
Yeah, that's right. I'll just go on the back of a horse. That's right. I'll have to tie myself under it because they'll recognise me. No, St. Peter will say, "No, we know about you, Mr. Ryan. Go back to your rock." Charlotte Faulkner, thank you so much for your time. Appreciate it. Good news. Nice to start with a good news story. And it actually didn't cut out. We actually did the conversation. How fantastic.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you so much. This is the Country Telegraph.
Deep in the soft rolling hills behind the southern New South Wales town of Gundagai is a special place. It's a haven for horses, and not just any old horse. These are Brumbies, wild horses that once roamed the magnificent snowy mountains.
So this place is called Umbango South. We're near Tarcutta in the Riverina. It's a beautiful 2,500 acre property that used to be a merino station, and we're running it as a sanctuary for Kosciuszko Brumbies that have been removed from the park.
This is Jen Cole's dream. She's a Sydney-based physiotherapist, and she set up this sanctuary last year with the help of her sister Sally Corbett. Here, wild horses trapped and removed from the high country learn a new rhythm. They're not broken, not tamed. They're simply given space to live within herds in as natural a setting as possible.
Because we have the space and we've created paddocks that are suitable for stallions, they're very family driven. When they get trapped, sometimes those families get split. Sometimes some of them are trapped and some aren't, or they go to different rehomers. Where we can, we keep the stallion with the mares he came in with, and if we find any other mares that we know were from that mob, we will try to obtain them and reunite them. So for us, it's about reuniting family, really, and giving them a chance to live as natural a life as they can, albeit out of their home, being the park.
These horses look so peaceful and calm here, but their very existence is at the centre of a long and bitter debate over the future of Brumbies in the Kosciuszko National Park. In the past 4 years, more than 9,000 have been removed from the park, most shot dead by marksmen in helicopters or in ground culling. Only about 1,000 have been trapped and sent into the rehoming system.
Obviously, we know that national parks and the government would like these horses out of the park entirely. I think everyone who loves Brumbies would love to see them stay in the national park in their natural environment. Every single one of us would prefer that. If they're going to be removed, we would much rather that they come through rehoming to sanctuary or to ownership rather than be lethally managed, whether that's shooting. It's horrible to imagine these incredibly beautiful horses being hunted from the air. We hate the thought of that. We want to make sure, as much as is possible, that we can work with parks to create a rehoming pathway that has long-term sustainability, so that over a period of time, if the horses are going to be removed, they come through rehoming rather than them being euthanized in various different ways. We would like them to have a future, and that's what we're trying to do.
The thing about these brumbies in the wild is that so many people followed their lives. Some became celebrity horses and fans would post pictures and stories of them to social media, and people around the world would follow these updates. Photographers would get amazing award-winning photos. These stories gave us a glimpse into the secret world of brumbies, the complex herd dynamics and the different personalities. One of the most famous of those horses was Poster Boy, a stallion that had a real presence and charisma about him. He was a wild horse that seemed drawn to humans and loved to just turn up and check them out.
There's a lot of people who have loved Poster Boy and these other horses in the wild for many, many years, who have been up there, who have photographed them and sat with them and know their stories. And that's not me. I've been in love with brumbies since I was a small child, and we're here to provide that sanctuary for brumbies. But I didn't know a huge amount about Poster Boy, except that he was a lightning rod for people's focus on preserving these wild brumbies, in advocacy around trying to prevent them from being removed from the park at all, and especially with lethal means. And so he's a horse that is very widely known and very widely loved by a lot of people. It's really interesting. In fact, most of the brumbies that come here are actually remarkably resilient and trusting very quickly, more than you would expect. Poster Boy was one of the calmest. He and Sebastian are probably the calmest, I think, of any that have come in. Obviously, they've been trapped. They've been traumatised by that process. We bring them in and they're in yards for a period of time while they get to know us, and we get to give them better nutrition and do all of those things. But from the beginning, while he's not somebody that's in your face, he's always been just rock solid, Mr. Cool, Mr. Calm.
This is a haven for horses as well as humans. Watching them adjust to their new lives, helping them through this process has been life-changing for the people who run this sanctuary.
I've been around horses most of my life, and these are different from anything I've come across before. They somehow got this solid, calm resilience. They're really self-sufficient, but then once they choose you, they choose you.
They touch a part of you that no words can. They do it. I can't even put that into words. It's like your body releases. You can sit with them and breathe with them. They breathe on you, you breathe on them, and it's the most peaceful thing. It's like you connect. It's more than anything else I've known.
Yeah, interesting, isn't it? Why the hell would you want to kill those beautiful creatures? Truly, it just speechless. Simone Cooper is a passionate animal advocate, a dedicated Brumby supporter, and member of New Dawn Safe Haven, where she helps champion the rescue and lifelong care of Australia's iconic wild horses. She is also a member of the Animal Justice Party and has spoken at numerous rallies advocating for compassion and animal welfare. Over the past 4 years, Simone has become a passionate advocate for Australia's Brumbies, using her voice to raise awareness and encourage meaningful conversations about their futures. Simone, thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me. It's great to be here, and what a wonderful program. And thank you so much for all of your support relating to this sort of issue. I know a lot of people appreciate that we're actually getting honest media covering this story because, yeah, it's just so important. We need to sort of get the message out there to all the people that just don't know what is actually going on, and they sort of believe the lies that are being told by the government and the Invasive Species Council, and it's just sort of heartbreaking when you see those beautiful videos and the images of these horses running free, happy, wild, and knowing that the government is just hell-bent on eradicating every last one of them, and why. Why, when there's sort of alternative humane methods out there. The fertility program in the US has managed the wild horse population over there very successfully. And why haven't they invested money in rehoming organisations? why is the first thing they want to do is just basically shoot, and they don't even get a clean headshot. Some brumbies are being shot up to 15 times. You've got mares aborting foals where they are. It's just heartbreaking. If you have a heart, how can you just let this happen? And all of us are just sort of so emotionally traumatized by this. And having followed this issue for 4 years, it's really sort of been quite depressing for a lot of people, myself as well. And it's caused deep emotional distress for a lot of people. It's divided communities, and it's left many Australians feeling ignored and powerless. So,
Tell me, how has it affected communities? I mean, we were in the Snowy Mountains region last week for the full week, and the people we spoke to, first of all, I have to tell you, my wife and I, and Jen's been speaking to them, were absolutely over the top with how stand up they were. They were fair dinkum Australians. And they're very strong, and they've gone through tough lives and tough conditions, which you do in those parts of that part of the world. But they were really feeling it. They were feeling that, one, their mates were under attack, which is very un-Australian, and they're also feeling the pressure on themselves because they were feeling helpless. How do we fix that? How do we make ourselves feel less helpless but continue on? Because the whole process is just enormously daunting, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I think sort of surrounding yourself with like-minded community members, joining the various Brumby rescue Facebook groups, speaking up to your friends and family when something's wrong. And also for me, personally, I can't bring myself to watch the photos and videos of dead Brumbies anymore. When they come up on social media, I have to scroll past because they generally affect my well-being, and I'm sure a lot of people can relate to that. I mean, seeing family bands torn apart, seeing dead mares having aborted foals, horses being shot up to 15 times because the wrong caliber bullets were used, or the shooter couldn't get a clean shot. And I know I'm not alone. I've spoken to people from every corner of Australia and even overseas who are grieving, angry and heartbroken by what's happening to our Brumbies. And, we feel completely ignored, believing the government has already decided that the only answer is to eradicate these horses, regardless of the growing public concern. I mean, this has been going on for so long now, and when the Labor government got in a couple of years ago, they just stepped it up even more. They just basically were determined. And, we've tried everything over the last 4 years to, get the government to stop this horrendous practice, and nothing, they just don't listen to anything. They're just hell-bent on doing this. And, you just have to keep asking why, continue with this aerial and ground shooting when so many Australians, believe that the horses are nowhere near the numbers being claimed, and point to independent analysis questioning the population estimates. And, why dismiss the views of those who believe Brumbies have a place in the alpine environment? Why not invest in humane alternatives like fertility control, as I mentioned before? Look, the thing is, it's the bigger picture. If the goal is truly to protect Kosciuszko, why is so much attention focused on the Brumbies while the impacts of major human development receive far less scrutiny? Snowy hydro infrastructure, power line corridors, worker accommodation up to 3,000 workers, ski resorts, four-wheel drive and mountain bike tracks, campgrounds, heavy tourism, climate change have all fundamentally altered the landscape. Yet the government is blaming everything on the Brumbies when they are a keystone species. So they actually don't do any harm to the environment. They actually work with native flora and fauna. And so it's just sort of really heartbreaking. And, we're all upset and angry because, all of this worldwide condemnation even is not stopping the government. They're just continuing on with, this cruel practice. And as I think somebody mentioned before, if you've got a heart, how can you actually just be happy with just shooting Brumbies or any animal and just watching them suffer and die and just do that every day? Like, it just boggles the mind.
It does. And now because I'm with the National Parks and Wildlife Service, I would like a Royal Commission or something to tell these, and I called them yesterday, a pack of bastards, to go away. You are not what we want in these beautiful parts of the world. You are very inhumane. You are against the charter that you swore you would do. You do not look after the environment. You do not do the right thing. You're just a pack of bastards. Then we have the RSPCA, and we play an ad for a spot for saying how bad 1080 is, and the person who was saying that works for the RSPCA. Now that they're dropping carrots laced with 1080 around rabbit holes, give me a break. The horses, will obviously eat those, and they will die a slow, painful death, along with other animals and birds that eat. For example, the rabbits and stuff. They will then also die if they die in the waterways, which they most likely will, because they're so dehydrated looking for water. They're also going to poison the water and the fish in there, and the people that drink that. You're drinking 1080. And yet the RSPCA, brilliant organisation, they should go for a long row in a boat with a hole in it, because they are just terrible. And they are doing zilch about it. That must distress you, because I don't understand how they, I won't swear, how the hell people can act this way. I mean, I'm not a horse person. I love animals, but you do not do this to our iconic creatures. You do not do this to anything that's living. It's just abhorrent. And the RSPCA are sitting on their big fat bottoms and doing zilch. How do we make them do their job? How do we get rid of the National Parks and Wildlife Service? Because those are the two important things. Get rid of that awful organisation that's killing these animals, dropping the poison, and get rid of the organisation that relies on government handouts or charity that's supposed to look after the animals. Get rid of them too, because they are imposters.
Yeah, look, that's a big question, and it would be great to just wave a magic wand and say, yep, the RSPCA is now being cleaned out of all of the scum, and now we've got like decent people. And look, the RSPCA, there are some decent people in that organisation that do some wonderful things. It's just a shame that the organisation as a whole is just basically, like you said, being silent, happy to take the money from the government to basically do what the government wants and support the government in these decisions that they're making in relation to not just the brumbies, but, every animal. You've got, the hunting bill that, was raised as well, where, they want to open up 65,000 hectares to hunters to come and shoot anything, native wildlife and non-native alike. And, it just sort of boggles the mind that this is something that the government just supports wholeheartedly, and that the RSPCA basically just, as an organisation, has turned against their principles and ethics and morals, because they get the money and they continue their lavish lifestyles. And unfortunately, national parks as well, they're sort of a henchman of the government. I'm sure there's some lovely people in national parks that are really horrified at what's going on, but they need their jobs. They need to keep food on the table. So, they obviously afraid to speak up. So look, in all of these organisations, there are, some wonderful people. It's just a shame that from the top level, there's corruption, and it's really hard to stamp that out. I sort of think it's difficult because the RSPCA do a lot of good things for domestic animals and that sort of thing. But this issue is such a big issue that they really should have had their moral compass come back out and actually just sort of make a stand and do something to come out and speak against this cruel, abhorrent practice. It's going against the humane ways of managing animals. I mean,
it's terrible. We are going to run out of time, because I much. Don't you worry about that. Tell me about New Dawn Safe Haven.
Yeah, look, it's a wonderful organisation, and there's so many great Brumby sanctuaries out there that, thank goodness, we do have those Brumby sanctuaries that can rescue and provide life sanctuary for all the Brumbies that need it. So New Dawn Safe Haven, we are a charity. We're an organisation that is looking to become a charitable organisation. We've got 2 sanctuaries. So there's one in New South Wales and one in Victoria, and they provide a safe, lifelong home for the 21 rescued Brumbies in our care. And every one of those horses has a story, and everyone has been given a second chance because compassionate people in the community choose to help. So we are so grateful for the community for following us and donating and helping us and sharing our posts and that sort of thing. But both of our sanctuaries are now full, and every day, we wish we could say yes to more horses that desperately need somewhere safe. And that's why we're fundraising to purchase more land so we can rescue even more Brumbies and give them the future they deserve. And as most Brumby sanctuaries don't receive any government funding, which is an issue in itself, because imagine how much more we can do to save Brumbies if the government actually just sort of helped out with grants and that sort of thing. But look, every bale of hay, every veterinary bill and every fence is made possible through the generosity of everyday Australians who care. So, if anybody would like to help give these magnificent horses a second chance, please visit the New Dawn Safe Haven Facebook Inc. page, where you'll find our GoFundMe land fundraiser as a pinned post. So every contribution, no matter the size, helps us provide safety, care and a future for Australia's iconic Brumbies and helps us give another Brumby the chance to live in peace, safety and dignity, which all animals deserve, by the way.
Thank you. Look, it's too short. We could talk. You and I probably could talk to lunch.
Yeah, that's okay. Look, it's been great chatting. Obviously, there's so much more that I could say, but I'm really glad that I got to say, have this lovely chat with you, and hopefully the people out there will just open up their minds to know that, mainstream media are being paid by the government to spread these lies and mysteries and miscommunications. And unfortunately, people sort of tend to believe what they read and see from mainstream media, but just, for people just to do their independent research, go to, the independent sources that, can really sort of shine a light on what's really happening. But yeah, thank you so much for having me. It's been great.
Thank you very much, Simone. I think I started off with Simone, which I always said must call you Simone. And I could hear a clunk because I think our producer and business partner, Jen, after saying, Simone, and I said, I think I said Simone, so I heard the clunk as she fell off the chair, and I could hear the gun being loaded, like, you did what I told you to do. Anyway,
it's all good. Thank you.
All's well that ends well. Thank you so much for your time. By the way, are you going to the rallies? One of the rallies on Saturday?
Yes, that's great. Great call out there. So yeah, Saturday the 1st of August, there's probably going to be about 15 Brumby rallies around New South Wales, ACT, Victoria, Queensland. I'm going to be at the one in Gosford, Rotary Park. That's at 11 o'clock. So I'll be one of the speakers there. So yeah, if anybody is, in any of these locations, the details for these events can be found on the Brumbies Conservation Without Borders Conservation Group or the New Dawn Safe Haven group. So you can find hopefully a rally that is near you. But yeah, look, it's great, and hopefully we'll get the sort of local media to cover the story, and hopefully this, might start sort of the government sort of going, okay, look, this issue is not going to go away. All right, let's maybe just rethink things. Hopefully, fingers crossed.
We're going to, fingers crossed also, we're going to try it because we think we're broadcasting from Tumbarumba on that Saturday, but we're going to link all the rallies, and Jen will be working to the wee hours, which she does anyway, organising the contacts, because if we can cross, we used to do this with TNT, if we can cross to all the rallies and get a description of what's happening and an input on the actual, how people are feeling about it in that particular part of Australia, I think it'd be a nice way to bring the whole thing together and have some sort of extra oomph to something that needs all the help it can get, because it is for a good cause. It is for a great cause, and it says that we need to do it not just for ourselves or for our country. We need to do it for humanity. Simple
Absolutely. As that. Amazing words. So couldn't have said it better myself.
Thank you. I've had a bit of practice.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me.
Tell me to shut up.
Thank you so much for supporting the Brumby cause. It means a lot to so many of us. So thank you. Honest reporting, which is what is sorely needed. So thank
I
you.
think so, and it's not hard to do that. Simone, thank you so much for your time. This is the Country Telegraph.
Burrinjuck Dam is 98 years old. It was completed in 1928, and the concrete is deteriorating from the inside out through a process called alkali silica reaction, which is an irreversible chemical expansion that causes cracking and weakens the structure over time. In 1937, engineers discovered structural weaknesses so serious they drew up evacuation plans for 20,000 people living downstream, and the dam has only aged since then. Right now, Burrinjuck holds 1,026 gigalitres, but the catchment it sits on covers nearly 13,000 square kilometres and routinely delivers far more water than the dam can store. In October 2022 alone, around 1,200 gigalitres flowed into Burrinjuck in a single month, more than its entire capacity. And the excess had nowhere to go but downstream into communities that ended up flooded. That year was Australia's costliest natural disaster on record, with $5.56 billion in insured losses and 10 million tonnes of grain destroyed. The proposal is to rebuild Burrinjuck with a new wall that takes capacity from 1,026 gigalitres to 4,000 gigalitres, which is an additional 3,000 gigalitres of storage. To put that in perspective, the federal government has spent $7.2 billion recovering approximately 2,100 gigalitres through buybacks under the Basin Plan, and buying 3,000 gigalitres on the open market at current prices would cost anywhere from $27 billion to $60 billion. Building the storage costs between $4 and $6 billion. On top of that, a rebuilt Burrinjuck could generate 100 to 200 megawatts of hydroelectric power, bringing in $40 to $60 million a year in energy revenue. It could dedicate over 650 gigalitres to environmental flows without competing with irrigators. And it would act as a flood buffer that protects downstream communities the way Dartmouр Dam does on the Murray, where 70% of flood events have been completely absorbed since it was commissioned. The Murray-Darling Basin produces $30 billion in agricultural output every year and supplies over a third of this country's food. Rebuilding Burrinjuck secures that food production, protects communities from floods, generates clean energy, delivers environmental water, and replaces a dam that is approaching the end of its structural life. Every year we delay this decision. The dam gets older and the cost of inaction gets higher.
Welcome back to the Country Telegraph. Results from yesterday's poll. The question was, in what areas do you think the government interferes the most? That's in what areas do you think the government interferes the most? Now, overall, the poll indicates a strong interest in issues relating to land management and environment, especially females at the 60 to 69 age group. As I hear Jeff sighing in the background, just relax, with Queensland being the most engaged region. Now, the top issues selected by participants were land management, with 50% of the votes, followed by environment, with 25%, economy, and none of the above both with 12.5%. Now, Instant Polls is our official sponsor, and we're very grateful because we think we have a resource here that is going to illuminate and enunciate what's on the minds of people right throughout Australia. If you want to increase your bottom line, boost your communication with your frontline staff, and gather valuable data from your most important resource, that's your employees, don't forget to visit Instantpolls.online to learn more. Now, today's poll on the Country Telegraph is to what extent are government grants to private media outlets being used to ensure they report only the government's narrative? And you would have read the last couple of days how the government pays organisations such as Channel 9, I think 20 million. Then we have Crikey, they got some money. Incredible. They get a lot of money too from the government, along with Michael West Media, which is interesting because all these organisations, once you receive money from the government and they audit you to make sure that you're doing what they want, once you receive that money, I don't know how people can actually trust you, because you are actually you are reporting what the government wants you to say. You have become a propaganda arm of the government. And then we must question the validity of what you are saying. Now, to put your vote down, just use the QR code on our screen to vote. Each vote is secure and anonymous and verified by 2FA. And that's two-factor authentication. Now, you have 24 hours to vote before the result is broadcast on the Country Telegraph after 8 a.m. tomorrow. And the link will also be published on our Facebook page after 6 a.m. Don't forget to share the link, ask your family and friends to participate, because it is sort of like, gives us an idea what the country is thinking. And we need to know, first of all, that the country is thinking, and secondly, we can actually then relay that if we have to organisations to say, this is what people want. This is the Country Telegraph. Jeff Court has a long involvement in the rehoming and training of the Brumbies passively trapped from Kosciuszko National Park, being involved with them coming directly from the trapping program since 2010. Now, he's studied and gained considerable experience and skills in successfully handling them to a high standard for rehoming. Jeff's also put in a large amount of effort promoting the trainability of these Brumbies at shows such as the Murrin Bateman Field Days and Brumby-specific horsemanship clinics over the years. Jeff believes there needs to be some government support for rehoming in general to make morally acceptable management, such as rehoming, more viable in the community. First of all, Jeff, thanks for joining us.
Good morning, Mike, and thank you for having me.
Yep, we've had you. Sorry, a little joke there. Sorry, that wasn't that funny. Tell me, and being serious, the actual what's happening now, because there's a bit of a lull. We still hear there is some shooting. What they're doing now is just to make sure that it continues onward. They're now baiting animals with 1080p with carrots, and they say it's only for the rabbits. It's a pretty abhorrent act, isn't it, from the National Parks and Wildlife Service to be baiting any animal with 1080?
Yeah, I think it is, Mike. It's been proven to be not a very humane way of controlling any animal, as you say. It just sort of beggars belief sometimes what they actually come up with, like they must have management sitting in the offices thinking about what they can do next to I don't know what, they just don't, they come up with anything that, whether it's humane or not, it doesn't seem to matter anymore.
I'm actually interested because this has been going on for quite some time. It's just becoming more and more obvious, and I think that might have been because of the of two things. One, the helicopters they're using, and two, the absolute dedication to trying to right the wrong that's happening at the moment. And that's how we got involved, because I read a story and I thought that can't be part of, that can't be Australia. We don't act like that. The Brumby Wars, how long have they been going on for?
Look, to various degrees, I think I got involved in 2010. There was different things going on then, but there's always been a constant requirement of the public and the Brumby advocates to try and lobby the government and the National Parks and Wildlife Service predominantly to manage them in a way that's sort of morally and socially acceptable, as opposed to just going out and killing them. It's actually got worse now as time's gone, over the last 15, 16 years. It's actually got worse. They've just rewritten all their records, all their rule books to allow them to do more inhumane methods of controlling them.
Why would that be? I mean, I find it absolutely astounding that the National Parks and Wildlife Service, who are acting like a military group from the Ukraine, are acting so badly and just changing at will the way they behave. There is no humanity involved at the moment with this. Is truly, in my own opinion, it's barbaric what they're doing. And if you question this almost military-like organisation, if you question that, they go after you. They make your life miserable. They will do whatever they can to make sure you don't have a say. So tell me, this organisation called the National Parks and Wildlife Service, which should be fighting in the front line between Russia and Ukraine, because they are just dreadful. I have never seen a government organisation treat living things so badly. And if you show any sort of concern, they're going to come after you. So they can, as we would say, Jeff, at our age they can bugger off and shove it up their arse.
Yeah, that's right, Mike. They must have a department within the organisation that's just working to do that. I think must be the upper management, non-government organisation, which I think we all know which one is, the Invasive Species Council, and even Penny Sharp. I think there's between them three bodies, there is, I think that's some form of obsessive compulsive disorder. They've developed a hatred to the Brumbies and any of the advocates that want to speak positively and in support of the Brumbies. They just developed this hate, and I really think it looks like an obsessive compulsive disorder. They just want to do anything to be harmful to the horses, hurtful to the people, and just not respect the way things should be done in 2026. In society, like it's not a good way to operate, I think.
Tell me because we talk about, in every walk of life, whether you're lying on the beach or whatever, how's your mental health? Here we are talking about an atrocity, and it is an atrocity, the whole kit and caboodle. How's the mental health of those stuck in the middle of it? One, the local communities, and those fighting against these atrocities.
Yeah, the mental health has been something that came to my attention back in, I'd say, early 2023, when they started to introduce the desire to do aerial culling, and the shooting was being done then. These people that are just general members of the public, they've had an attachment to these horses that go back to a lot of people. It goes back generations, but the people that are fighting it and even observing it today, a lot of people, it goes back until their childhood. They've been observing and loving the horses since their childhood. Some of them are older people now, well into their 60s, 70s and whatever. It's something I noticed, and the people, they do love these horses. They've given them names, and then to find it on such large scale, horses just being shot that people do know, love, have given names to, it's very hard for people to cope with that much cruelty and that much death. I brought it up firstly in a talk I did at a protest rally in Canberra at Parliament House in 2023. And, like, for example, I had a lady came up to me straight after it. I didn't tell anyone that I was going to bring this topic out, but a lady came up to me straight after I spoke at the rally and said, "Thank you for bringing that up. You're the first person that has done." And she actually told me that she knew of someone that committed suicide only a week or two beforehand, that was very traumatised by the actual trialling of the aerial shooting. She didn't know whether it was directly a result of the aerial shooting. She had other underlying mental health issues, but that was just one example that hit me straight away. The first time I brought it out, someone came up and said, "I know of someone that's committed suicide," and we could attribute it to the aerial shooting.
I have to say, and I'll fess up here. I mean, I have very bad. I'm not sleeping very well because I can't understand how they can do this to an animal, full stop, and then how they can continue to do it to such magnificent creatures as the horse, because the horse is part of our history. And so what I do is I really throw myself into my work just to so that I'm doing something that's probably meaningful and can do some good. But there are many people who haven't got that luxury of being able to throw themselves into something, achieving what is disturbing them. They can go back to the work but it doesn't, in their mind, I would imagine, point them in that direction or get them to that next point, from A to B in that quest for some sort of reconciliation with the devil. And I don't know how they get through. I mean, I look at you, Jeff, and I look at the others we met last week in the Snowy Mountains. And I mean, one of them, Aunt Joan, who we almost interviewed. We just got that close to it. I don't know how she handles it, but she's not handling it all that well because she knows the Kosciuszko National Park better than anybody else. And to feel helpless and to have this, and I'll use the word Gestapo, and that's what the National Parks and Wildlife Service are. It must almost seem beyond repair to one's mental health at times.
Yeah, it must. Look, it's very sad, and I think we have to watch other people. What I've discovered is people, and it's probably right across the rural sector, whether it's farmers or whatever, that are struggling with mental health for one thing or another. They don't want to come out and talk to people. They don't feel they need to, or they just don't feel comfortable to do it. That's another problem, I think, with the mental health. So we do find, I think, that people are just dealing with it, trying to deal with it at home by themselves. I think from the National Parks and Wildlife Service and the government and Penny Sharp, I really don't know that they've made any mention of people being careful of their mental health. They're just, I don't know whether it's real. It's just, in my opinion, we all know what Jack Goff's attitude is. And there seems to be a lot of lying coming out of his mouth, making things up. It's trying to inflict this pain onto people, with the constant labelling of feral horses as opposed to just calling them wild horses or just horses. The word feral is really labelled around the place heavily by that sort of thing. It's really trying to inflict the most pain, I think.
I think it is. And then we talk about the mental anguish for us two-legged creatures, but what about the poor horse? Because they're a very intelligent species. I saw a clip and I couldn't even watch it, and it wasn't of any poor horse lying on the ground with the inside shot out or eaten by pigs. Nothing like that. What it was, it had a group of horses they were in full gallop looking for one of their mates, and obviously the mate was shot and they were looking for it, could not find that horse. The anguish or the angst for the animal itself, because they're like a close-knit family, that must be that must be almost beyond repair at this stage.
Yes, it'd be very traumatising for them. Look, me knowing as someone that's put a lot of experience into training horses and just handling them, they are very much a companion animal with each other. They bond very strongly with each other. They have their own friends within the herd, and then they have their actual herd themselves. And the stallion is very aware of who's in his herd. If one goes missing, he'll go into a panic and go looking. So this shooting of them randomly and leaving half herds there, very traumatic for horses. I see it at home. You only have to take one horse out of the paddock and take it for a ride. I mean, mine are all, except for one, they're all Brumbies from mainly Kosciuszko. I see it on a daily basis. Take one horse out of the paddock and take it for a ride, or take it for a walk up the road. The other horses, they run around and worry about where that horse has gone. They are very worrying creatures within their mind, in their own way. And this is what there's a huge amount of that going on. So the mental health of the horses up there is not going to be good. The temperaments of the horses is going to change dramatically up there. I've experienced areas before where they've done shooting of horses, and the horses that come out of there, and they've got a totally different mentality, them horses, once they've experienced so much shooting and loss of members of their herds and things like that.
Yeah, someone just dropped us a line on chat. Someone said Brumby supporters get a lot of abuse on their sites. We do too, but they're mainly from the ISC, the people that used to glue themselves to bridges to stop the traffic. Anyway, they found a new occupation. They get on the keyboard. Once they work out how to turn the electricity on, they can get into it. Because they're not terribly bright people at all, but they are throwing a whole bunch of stuff at the people who are supporting the Brumbies. I'll just bring up something that we're probably not going to go into it deeply. All organisations that are doing what they can to save the Brumby and stop this abhorrent behaviour, they're all doing a really good thing. But as a general report, which we do, we are, even though we're taking a part of the activity, we still want to keep to very good journalism. But we notice that there's this not infighting, it's sort of posturing to become the king of the saviours for the Brumbies. That is not wise, to have this conflict between some and others, because that's what the ISC or the state government or the New South Wales Parks or the National Parks and Wildlife Services, that's what they will be looking for, to divide and then to conquer. So I find that really interesting, that there's this, and whether it's just being over enthusiastic or letting the ego take too much control of you or whatever, I don't know, but it's not a good look, is it, that we have groups, all great hearts and wanting to do the right thing, but there seems to be the odd person here or there wanting to become the leader of all those groups and to be the self-anointed king or queen. So we've got to really stick together, don't we? We've got to make sure that we act as one, we act from a good heart, and that we need to let go of the ego and just throw ourselves fully into this to educate and tell Australia what really is happening.
Yeah, that's right. Look, there has been a few discrepancies. I think it's, the discrepancies have been among Brumby advocates in the park. I don't get involved in that sort of thing. I think, look, my going back to being a horse trainer, not every horse gets on with every other horse. And I think it's the same thing with people. You've got so many people involved with the Brumby advocacy now. You're going to get a little bit of conflict of personalities, I guess. It's all. I don't think it's anything nasty or mean. It's just Yeah, some people can. It's just different personalities in people that we've just got to work through it, really.
We need to stop it, don't we? Because as looking in, outside looking in, it's not a good look. We need to because and they're all doing it truly from a good place. We just need to understand that no one has been appointed queen or king for that matter. So we just need to one step in front, work together, do the right thing, and let go of the ego if that's ever possible. Tell me about the rally at Queanbeyan on Saturday week.
Yeah, the rally at Queanbeyan, it's starting at 11:30 in the park. We'll actually have the talks and the presentations at Queanbeyan City Park or Town Park. But it's a just one rally in. I think now they're up to 11 organised rallies being held across the country, really, from Perth to several down in Victoria, several in New South Wales, I think one or two in Queensland. So we'll have some speakers there. We have, I believe Peter Cochrane, myself. We've got Nicole Overall of the Nationals is going to be speaking there. Andrew Wildsmith, I believe it will. I know that he'll be speaking there. And that's, again, the nationwide organised rallies to all coincide on the one day, around the one time on the 1st of August, which is, is the horse's birthday. So, it's just, I guess, to show a show of unity and strength that we are across Australia. And look, I've had people from the UK saying that, they wish there was something on over there that they could come and see, come and do it. So, it is across the world. I don't know whether anything will go in the States or anything like that, but there is a huge amount of support for it. And I suspect these rallies could get quite large, some of them, like Tumbarumba in the foot of the story.
We're hoping to be at Tumbarumba on Saturday week, fingers crossed, and then we're going to, Jen, if she hasn't spoken to you yet, she will. We want to make sure we can cross to all the rallies just to get an idea of the temperature in each of those locations, and start bringing it together. So whatever we can do, we're there, and if we can help in any way, truly in any way, or that any organisation has to just contact us, and we'll do whatever we can. We'll try and move mountains if we have to, but it's for a great cause, and it actually not a great cause makes it sound a bit, not. It's what we should be doing. It's what we have to do. This is not how I think you agree, Jeff. This is not how Aussies should act to other Aussies. And the Brumby, we play a song, thrown in some stuff from the Battle of Beersheba. The Brumby needs to be revered. It's part of our history, and it is not how we treat living things. And at the moment, many take great pleasure in trying to eradicate the Brumby and shooting them or poisoning them in this case now, and letting them just die a very painful death. It's not how people or Aussies should act, is it, Jeff?
No, it's not, no. And I think when you get back to what you said, a great cause, it's actually become a desperate cause now. No, the numbers are so low up there, if they will face extinction. And that's what the certain members of the non-government organisations want, and with their brainwashing of some of the public believe them. The public don't go and see what's going on up there, and a lot of the voters and that they don't. They believe that what they hear and what they see or what they're told. But yeah, I think like seeing Ashley Avis up there, a couple of videos that she's put out this week, she was clearly traumatised by it, I think, like just looking at her. So
I totally agree. We're going to play another one at the end of the show. And it is very, very graphic, and Ashley does put up a disclaimer there. And then we're going to follow it with, we always play one song at the end of it, Tell the Wind How, I've forgotten the rest of it. Let me have a look. Don't you go away, I just want to tell you. It's called Tell the Wind How Brumbies Fall. So we always play that at the end of the show, because I think it encapsulates the whole thing. And I feel very sad. I do feel very sad. Jeff, if somebody wants to find out more about what you do, or even about the rallies, which is on in August 1, how do they do that?
Yeah, I think firstly about the rallies that are on August 1 is much the same as what Simone said. You know, the Brumbies Without Borders Facebook page is sort of coordinating it all. Then just my name, Jeff Court, on all River Gums Brumby horses on Facebook. In the long term, they can contact me. And then again, as you mentioned earlier, I will be at the Murray Bateman Field Days with our team of Brumbies doing Brumby horsemanship entertainment shows all weekend. That's in mid October. I think it's the 17th to 18th of October, but I'd be stand corrected on that. But yeah, so people can come up and talk to me then, meet the Brumbies and pat them, take some photos with them, and yeah, and come along to some of the if people can make it to the rallies on Saturday, the 1st of August, then that'll be great. That's a great way to just meet up and talk to people that are like-minded and about the cause of trying to save the Brumbies now. It's basically save them.
It is. It's we can't let the next round of aerial shootings happen. Simple as that. And so we have to, really dig deep and come up with some ideas that will stop it. I suppose the best one is to get the attention of the public if they know and just a small piece of their mind understand the atrocities that are happening. Then the pressure then is put on the organisation and also the government to say, stop it. I mean, you need to stop it now, because all this is just based on a lie and pure greed. Simple as that. Jeff Court, thank you so much for your time. Always appreciated. We will talk to you again, undoubtedly. Hopefully we can talk to you from the rallies, and we can get an idea of the temperature there and start pushing this enormous movement that we have to do. I think the only movement at the moment that's creating the havoc is the movement from the ISC and the federal and the state government, which is a sort of movement that you have in a ablution block. And so we don't want that movement at all. Jeff Court, thank you very much for your time. This is the Country Telegraph.
So many places where they're using 1080 poison baits.
Yeah, it's an absolute travesty, mate.
It really is.
1080 baits, if you've seen what a 1080 bait does to a dog, it's one of the most horrific things you'll ever witness. And the second you see something like that, you'll be a big advocate for getting rid of 1080 baits. It's not the way to solve the problem with wild dogs and foxes and things like that.
On Sunday, August the 30th, I got a phone call from my husband. I wasn't here, I was out in Aramac staying with family. And he rang me very distressed and crying on the phone and told me that Tippy was dead. And he then described to me how that happened. He said he was inside, heard Tippy outside yelping, which progressively rapidly went to screaming, and he was thrashing him, throwing himself around. He went under my car, which is parked on the veranda in a carport, threw himself under the car and up under the wheel arch, obviously looking for sanctuary. Greg tried to grab him and got hold of his leg, and as he did that, he just dropped dead. So he rang me and told me about this, so I was obviously quite distraught as well. And then he had to go into town, into Bundaberg, to pick up for a pre-arranged appointment. And when he came home a couple of hours later, Faye, our Maremma dog, was also dead. So within a couple of hours, we're not sure, any time between 9:30 and midday is when she died on that morning. So yeah, Greg took them to bury them, and he took Ted with him when he buried these two dogs, and Ted was there with him. And after Greg finished burying them, he wouldn't leave. He just laid, he sat, moved around. He wouldn't leave the gravesite. So Greg had to literally pick him up and take him away. So he knew his mates were in there. So yeah, sorry.
1080 is not a humane poison, and despite people's claims that it is humane, we now recognise that that's not the case. It's not good enough to pretend to ourselves that it's humane and keep on doing the same old thing that we've been doing for years. There's no excuse to keep on using a poison that is not humane and that we know is not humane.
Welcome back to the Country Telegraph. Pack of bastards, that's what they are for doing that. It's come to our attention that the New South Wales National Parks and Wildlife Service, NPWS, just back from Ukraine, will be conducting a ground baiting program in northern Kosciuszko National Park from the 23rd of July, which is today, to Thursday the 1st of October. So it's going to go on and on and on. Come and eat this. It will make you really sick. It will torture you and then kill you. The operation will use poison carrot containing 1080 poison for the control of rabbits. 1080 has been known to cause deaths to non-target species and toxic to a wide range of species, including birds, mammals, reptiles, and domestic animals. Just about anything that's got legs or breathes. 1080 poison, by the way, is banned in most countries worldwide due to its extreme toxicity, lack of an antidote, because there is none. Once you get it, you're dead, and indiscriminate nature. What happens is you get really thirsty. There was a clip I saw the other day. That lady, the dog threw itself at the car, did everything, screamed, yelped, everything, because of 1080. That happens to all the animals. They die a painful, painful death if they ingest it. It remains strictly prohibited in the US, the European Union, and the majority of nations globally. Currently, 1080 is only legally permitted and used in a handful of countries, most notably Australia and New Zealand, which account for the vast majority of global use. It's just abhorrent. Marilyn, what do you think?
Oh, good morning, Mike. I fully support what you're saying. In fact, I've been involved in the anti-1080 movement for quite some time. And yes, conducted a fair amount of research into 1080 poison and its impacts. So I'm aware of what it does. I participated in the first symposium in Australia about 1080 poison. I think it was about 2018, organised by Andy Medic of the Animal Justice Party, which was held at the Acme Centre in Melbourne, and there were a lot of speakers. We had Clyde Graff overseas from New Zealand came to speak at that symposium. So yes, 1080 poison is a filthy, toxic poison that should be banned. And in fact, I can give you some other, it carries a Category 1 classification, Schedule 7 poison, the most lethal under the Department of Health Goods Administration. It's listed as a chemical of security concern by the Council of Australian Governments, COAG, as a potential chemical of weapon for terrorist-related activity. It's water-soluble, colourless, odourless, tasteless, and there is no antidote. what we need to be aware to now. Okay, so National Parks and Wildlife Services are using it as a carrot bait. I also believe they've distributed hog on, which is another 1080 poison for pigs, because people up there in Cossie have actually seen empty drums lying around. But anyway, so what we do know as well is on the National Parks and Wildlife, I'm a bit shaken by this. I've been involved in this for so many years, and I didn't realise we would be talking in depth like this. So anyway, what they say on the National Parks and Service website is that 1080 poison, some animals have resistance. Now, that is absolute rubbish. There is a plant in Western Australia, the gastrolobium plant, which produces a substance called potassium fluoroacetate. And over time, yes, some lizards, skink, goanna, have developed a level of resistance. That plant is not found on the eastern coast of Australia, certainly not found in national parks like Kosciuszko National Park. They're herbivore and carnivore, have no resistance to 1080 poison. It depends on the strength that is used. Now, it's a white, fluffy, synthetic powder made in America and imported into Australia for a long, long time. It was introduced into Australia in the 1950s as a poison to use on rabbits. Oh, there's also evidence that 1080 poison affects male fertility, and there's actually been no satisfactory explanation for the rapid, widespread quoll decline across the eastern coast of Australia. There has been no investigation about how 1080 poison impacts native quoll who survive 1080 poison. So again, it does depend on the quantity that's used in a bait. And with rabbits, I'm told, they're using low level. Now, I've actually been in touch and spoken to a ranger at National Parks and Wildlife Services. She was a very nice person, a very friendly person, and answered my questions and even sent me an email address. She said to me that the way they were distributing the carrot baits in Kosciuszko was to sprinkle them, lay them around rabbit warrens. And I asked her, well, how will they prevent other wildlife? How will they prevent wildlife? And she said, oh, we have a mechanism in place.
Yeah, sure.
Which doesn't answer the question, you know. And then I was told that they will pick up the poisoned rabbits. And I said, but hang on, what about the kookaburras? Will you stand next to the poisoned carcass 24/7? Or will the kookaburras swoop down and start consuming? Because kookaburra will die from 1080 poison. It's across raptor, eagles, you know, kangaroo, not that kangaroos and wallabies, but they will eat a poisoned carcass of a rabbit. But they've used 1080 poison in oak baits in so many places. They've used it in Tasmania when they're in new forests. They poison off the wallabies. Like, it's just, but in KNP, they're using it. They're going to broad sweep across Kosciuszko National Park over a period of time in all these different areas. It's just sickening. It's just sickening the way animals will die. I mean, as part of being involved in the anti-1080 movement, you hear about so many horrific experiences. A family travelling across a desert and they stop and let their dog out to relieve itself, and suddenly they hear a dog. The dog jumps back in the car and they're driving off into the desert. And after a while, the dog starts yelping and screaming, throwing itself around the back seat of the car, frothing at the mouth, and eventually they'll die. It depends upon how many hours. So, what do I think? It's just horrific. It's disgraceful. It should be banned in Australia. But to think that they're using in a place like Kosciuszko National Park, where they boast about how pristine the park is, I don't call that pristine. I call it a lie. It's a lie.
Why do they? I mean, as I'm getting into that, I think they're an abhorrent organisation. I think they should be wound up immediately. I do, because they're almost like a lawless group, and I've spoken to others who've been intimidated by this mob, this cabal of wackos and mass murderers, or people that don't give a shit about anything except I don't know what they care about. But the RSPCA, and you heard what I played before. The last dialogue is from a person at that stage that works for the RSPCA, and she acknowledged how bad it is. Where is the RSPCA now?
The RSPCA now, I've got no idea where they are now. I do know that
pretty weak, isn't it?
Well, I do know that in 2008 there was a review of the use of 1080 poison in Australia. That's a long while ago, isn't it? It's going on for nearly 20 years. And RSPCA were one organisation that opposed the use of 1080 poison. They did say it was inhumane. Animals Australia said the same thing. There were many organisations. I mean, that's, I've read that material a long while ago, but there were many, many organisations opposed to it. It's still being used. One of the issues that were not addressed during that 2008 review was whether 1080 poison is humane. And I cannot believe it. It is inhumane. I'm opposed to shooting horses, and I'm opposed to cruelty to any animal. But how any organisation can use a toxin that brings on such cruelty, and what APVMA said, the Australian Pesticides and Veterinary Medicines Authority, who approve and review all chemicals and veterinary medicines imported into Australia, which would include fertility control. So what they said is they can't prove that it's inhumane, that an animal might respond in a certain way.
That's nuts. That's so.
I find it a sort of craziness. It's cruel.
Yeah,
it's absolutely cruel. There's a gentleman who lives in Western Australia, Paul Anderson. He lost quite a few dogs to 1080 poison. There's another family that I created a video about, that they lost Maremma sheep. They ran a goat farm, and they were losing their Maremma, and they couldn't understand it. And what they finally found out was that 1080 poison baiting was happening on an adjoining property, and in sausages. And what crows were doing is they were crows are very clever, I tell you what. Anyway, the crows were flying those baits, those sausage baits, onto the roof of the house, washing the baits in the gutters, the water gutters, which was collecting water that ran down into a water tank for the goats, which the goats drank. The crows were washing the baits. Anyway, they lost so many Maremmas from their actual the baiting program. It was just horrific. They reported it to the health department in Western Australia, and in fact, they had the 1080 poison baiting closed down. There is action people can take. It's possible to take action at that level to have it stopped.
Look, as a animal rights lawyer and founder of the Brumby Action Group, This must frustrate you beyond all belief, and then along with the aerial shooting or just the shooting of these magnificent creatures, the horses, sometimes you must throw your hands up in the air and make a beeline for your liquor cabinet at great speed because it's just terrible.
Well, yeah, I don't know about the liquor cabinet. I'm not going to
I
confess to that on this sort of program. But, you do seek support. And I guess also I've been a family lawyer for 2 decades. So you do develop means to step back from the issue at hand. You have to. You go around the twist. And the same thing with the Brumby issue. And the 1080 poison issue, of course you do. Of course it impacts you. But I seem to be able to keep a lid on it. But I do know that there are a lot of people find it very difficult to keep a lid on it. And those people, we've said on Brumby Action Group, Sarah did a wonderful post about people can contact us and talk to us. And I thought, oh, wow. But anyway, we are there. I also followed up with a post. It's a very big thing. As part of, I'm actually an art psychotherapist too. That's another string to my bow. So as part of my training, I did spend time with Lifeline, and I know how good Lifeline are. They are a remarkable organisation. I know it doesn't sound as touchy-feely as calling a friend, but they know how to talk to you. They know how to encourage you to speak about your feelings, and they can give people really good references. They can suggest, they can't refer you, but they can suggest the names of people to ring in the person's area. So I think if anybody is so deeply traumatized, and I heard Jeff talk about the woman earlier, and I thought, oh, that is so bad, But Lifeline is the way to go. If people are really that distressed, Lifeline is a remarkable organisation.
Yeah, I have to say I get very down in the dumps because I just fail to understand why this is. I know why it's happening, but I fail to understand how people can allow it to happen.
I know.
And you go, wow, there's all sorts of lollies in this cookie or this lolly jar, but it's candy jar, but it's very, very distressing. And and the 1080. I mean, look at the government. We're one of the few countries that use Roundup. It's got glyphosates in that, which do terrible things. Then they got paraquat, which do terrible things. 1080, which is just a abomination of a chemical, and they just do terrible things, and we still allow it. It shows you that probably Australia has a bit of a walk yet before it can start lifting its head up high, because as a country, I don't think we're doing enough to right the wrongs.
Mike, you mentioned the other day when you start scratching the surface, things come out. And obviously, as part of the research that myself and many others that are in the anti-1080 movement, there are some great groups. The use of 1080 poison is another billion-dollar business.
It is chemical.
But in Australia. And if you go to the Centre for Invasive Species Solutions, another one, invasive species solutions, you'll find that Invasive Species Council endorse. Their logo is on the Centre for Invasive Species Solutions, along with other logos, along with, local state governments and all sorts of things, and the Commonwealth government. There are agreements in place. So we know that it's a multi-million-dollar business. So it was imported originally to use alongside with strychnine to destroy rabbits, and then what we call wild dogs. And we know now that those wild dogs are in fact dingoes. They are not well, people call them wild dogs. And colonial people that came to live in Australia firstly, they brought sheep, and dingoes would pinch a sheep here and there, but it's not the natural food of dingoes. They are Australia's apex land predator, and so they do, of course, they're not vegan, so it's obvious that they live symbiotically with Australian wildlife. Dingoes can suppress introduced species like cats, wild cats and foxes that are running rampant in Kosciuszko National Park and other national parks, to the point where those species have destroyed Australian wildlife. But what are even national parks and wildlife services? They drop by the ton poison meat baits to kill what they call wild dogs, but we know they are dingoes, and we know that because there has been some incredibly good genetic research undertaken by people like Dr. Carly Cairns, who has published her investigations. We know that they're dingoes, and we also know that that if there has been a loss of dingoes, then the capacity to suppress those introduced species that really are doing such harm is less. So what are national parks and wildlife services doing? They're ramping up now with not only 1080 poison baits for dingoes, they're going to poison all the other wildlife in the park. I posted on Brumby Action Group the other day a documentary, Poisoning Paradise, that was put together by the Graff brothers. Clyde Graff is somebody that came
I saw that.
to Melbourne, and that explains it very well, how it impacts herbivores. And there have been cases of horses. If sufficient level of 1080 poison is used, it will impact horses. It will kill a human being.
It's just terrible.
It's the money, another money, big business in Australia.
When we're talking, if you collectively include the renewables and the transmission lines and the solar farms and the wind farms and saving the planet and all that sort of stuff, and all in the same bus, as you might say, you're talking trillions and trillions of dollars. And when you talk about that money, as a lawyer, you would understand that the stench of corruption is quite thick. It's almost like a fog. But we haven't got the time to go on. Otherwise, you and I will be here till about 4 a.m. the next day, because there's so much to talk about.
Yeah, and in talking to you, it comes out with me because I'm a
terrible person. Haven't you heard?
Well, some people think I am.
No, I am. You'll go to heaven.
Oh, we're both in the same.
We are.
Basket.
We are. We're basket cases in many ways. Look, Marilyn, if somebody wants to find out more about you or the Brumby Action Group, how do they do that?
Okay, well, they go on to Facebook, of course, and Brumby Action Group is there. Sarah she's co-admin with me. People can contact me. There are also other groups that I think, if people are really opposed to 1080 poison, Australians Against 1080 Poison is a really good group. It's a community group. You'll have to apply to join. There's another page, 1080 Legal Action 2021. You don't have to guess too hard who set it up, but there's some information there, and there's also support in finding ways to stop the use of 1080 poison. I've actually been involved in seeing 1080 poison stopped in certain parts of Australia with a particular sign. So information is there. I guess those are them. There are quite a few anti-1080 groups, but those are the ones that I'm very familiar with.
Good on you. You'll go to heaven. Don't forget, if you get there after me, obviously, but just put in a good word. Tell them I've done my punishment. Let me in.
Well, good idea.
Thank you so much. Marilyn, thank you so much for your time. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Do a lot more of this. I think we need to put our head down, our backside up, and keep moving forward.
You're doing such a good job. You really are.
Well, we're just doing our best. That's all we can do. Thank you
I
so
know.
much for your time. Now, this is, by the way, the Country Telegraph.
So many places where they're using 1080 poison baits.
Yeah, it's an absolute travesty, mate.
It really is.
1080 baits, if you've seen what a 1080 bait does to a dog, it's one of the most horrific things you'll ever witness. And the second you see something like that, you'll be a big advocate for getting rid of 1080 baits. It's not the way to solve the problem with wild dogs and foxes and things like that.
On Sunday, August the 30th, I got a phone call from my husband. I wasn't here, I was out in Aramac staying with family. And he rang me very distressed and crying on the phone and told me that Tippy was dead. And he then described to me how that happened. He said he was inside, heard Tippy outside yelping, which progressively went and rapidly went to screaming, and he was thrashing him, throwing himself around. He went under my car, which is parked on the veranda in a carport, threw himself under the car and up under the wheel arch, obviously looking for sanctuary. Greg tried to grab him and got hold of his leg, and as he did that he just dropped dead. So he rang me and told me about this, so I was obviously quite distraught as well. And then he had to go into town, into Bundaberg, to pick up for a pre-arranged appointment. And when he came home a couple of hours later, Faye, our Maremma dog, was also dead. So within a couple of hours, we're not sure, any time between 9:30 and midday is when she died on that morning. So yeah, Greg took them to bury them, and and he took Ted with him when he buried these two dogs, and Ted was there with him. And after Greg finished burying them, he wouldn't leave. He just laid, he sat, moved around. He wouldn't leave the gravesite. So Greg had to literally pick him up and take him away. So he knew his mates were in there. So yeah, sorry.
1080 is not a humane poison, and despite people's claims that it is humane, we now recognise that that's not the case. It's not good enough to pretend to ourselves that it's humane and keep on doing the same old thing that we've been doing for years. There's no excuse to keep on using a poison that is not humane and that we know is not humane.
Incredible government. It's just incredible. And you have to wait to vote them out, if you get a chance to vote them out. Then who's to say the next mob, different face, same policies at the end of the day? Incredible. But 1080, oh man. That's about it. Ashley Avis, who's been under a bit of attack by a particular person, Ashley's doing a great job. She is working tirelessly to document the atrocities that are happening to our brumbies and also other animals. Ashley is with the Wild Beauty Foundation, which is wildbeautyfoundation.org. So good on you, Ashley. She's been just going through the park and finding some evidence and some of the damage that the National Parks and Wildlife Service are doing. Brilliant job, the National Parks and Wildlife Service. They get the current rate, there'll be nothing living there. They just they should just go back to Ukraine, truly. It's terrible, like a Ukraine militia. Incredible. Guns and everything. Silencers. Incredible. And we ain't going to stand for it. So, but it's very upsetting. Anyway, Ashley's been going through the park. I always leave you with a particular track, which to me is probably very, very emotional. This is I think one of the most brilliant. I've worked in the music industry before this for a long, long time. And even though it's AI, the actual the voice and the instrumentation, the words are from a very, very good place, and they describe exactly what is happening, and it's just terrible. So I've sort of joined Ashley's latest report along with this, and hopefully we can appreciate the severity of the destruction that's happening at the moment. Until tomorrow, this is the Country Telegraph.
Till nightfall, I kept on running. Till my mirror, I heard her cry. Till the mountain belonged here.
We're here in the Kosciuszko National Park. We've hiked out about 2 hours this morning with Kiki Sjoberg, and this is what we found. An entire family shot down. That is the stallion. And I hope anybody watching this has the courage to stay with me for about another minute. Because I think it's very, very important to see this and to bear witness, because silence and inaction is complicity. There's nothing humane about this, and there is certainly nothing humane with what I'm about to show you. This is a mare that aborted her foal as she was being shot down.
But I can't outrun what follows now. Shield my family from this pain.
That is a baby.
My ancestors crossed the oceans, but I was born upon this land. These mountains are my birthplace.
This was a family.
The snowies are my clan.
There's nothing humane about this.
These mountains hold our memories, our family history. If home is where you're raised, then this is where we should be. Tell my foe I kept on running. Tell my mare I heard her cry. Tell the mountain I belonged here. Tell the wind I said goodbye. Stay close beside me, little one. The thunder isn't rain. The sky itself is hunting us, and I cannot stop the pain. I gather those I love and turn to face the sound. Though every instinct tells me run, there's nowhere left for us now. These mountains hold our memories, our family history. If home is where you're raised, then this is where we should be. I don't know the reason. I hear the echo of final sound, deadly thunder overhead as I fall upon the ground. Thunder again and again. My heart grows quiet as bullets rain. I thought I had more seasons, more rivers left to roam, more sunrises with my Kosciuszko clan before the mountains called me home. Tell them I was born here. My grandfathers fought their wars. Remind them that this was our home. The snowy mountains were ours. Tell my foe I knew her fear. Tell my mare I heard her call. Tell my fool I tried to save them. Tell the wind how brumbies fall. Tell my fool I kept on running.
Tell my mare I heard her cry. Tell the mountain I belonged here. Tell the wind I said goodbye.